So you want to start a LARP with your friends. Now what? Hi, I'm WolfMaiden, and today I want to talk to you about some tips for starting a really small scale LARP with your friends. While I haven't officially created a LARP myself yet, I have a few tips that I put together here to help you start a LARP with your friends, and later scaling up. So first, figure out who actually wants to LARP with you. Make sure you have enough people to play with, maybe like 6, although if you have 1 or 2 less, maybe you might be able to make it work. Next, you have to figure out the beginning details. Are you guys going to do a one-off game or a continuous one? What's the genre going to be? Is it going to be post-apocalyptic, medieval, fantasy, historical, combinations? Obviously, the sky's the limit there with the genre, but you guys have to agree. And if you don't, and everybody's split on some things, as long as they're willing to compromise, maybe somebody will play one game one day and another one will run another day. You can always do games of chance to decide who's running it and what game you're playing too. Another important thing is weapons. Are you using them, or is there no physical combat? The next, of course, is what is a game without rules? You're going to need to decide how you run the game, and particularly how conflict is resolved. In combat, it's not just, oh, we hit him, he's dead. What if he's wearing armor? So you have to have rules for armor. Are you using hit points and just adding armor to your hit points? Are you using a limb system where if you hit your arm here, this is no longer usable? You hit this arm, this one's no longer usable, and maybe you hit 3 and you're dead. If they can heal, that might be a rule that you need to explain very well. Is there magic? Is there not? And how is magic handled? When characters die, do they stay dead, or is there a chance that they can live? That's also an important one. Maybe conflict is as easy as rock, paper, scissors, and the winner takes all. Either way, rules may be necessary for more than just combat. You might have friends that are wild, and you need to kind of nitpick things for them to follow so that they don't just blow up your game with whatever crazy rules that they're like, oh, well, this works because you didn't say it didn't, kind of thing. But sometimes if it works with your friends, then light rules and an easy attitude of it's not about winning, it's about the experience and the role play. You can probably get away with that. The person who's running the game should probably still use their discretion in order to solve things, if they're more of an objective bystander. If they're part of the game, or you're part of the game and you're running the game, it may be a problem, a conflict of interest for you to mediate a conflict. So if that's the case, then you're going to have somebody on the side as a referee who doesn't have a stake in either side. Remember, you can also look to existing LARP games for inspiration. There's plenty of rules out there, and you might come across things that you didn't think of as being a problem that might actually be a problem for your friend group. So you can try and think ahead and work on that. Although I wouldn't really work too hard on all the little tiny details unless you're planning right away that this will eventually scale up. Of course, you do you. Just make sure you don't copy rules entirely. People work really hard on those things, obviously, and you just don't do it. Next, you're going to need some sort of basis or a narrative. I will be making a LARP concept video for some creative sparking ideas, but this is an important point here to make too, which is, what are your characters going to do? You need a reason for your characters to be there, like a scenario. It may be a conflict or a group effort, and with limited people, NPC roles are almost entirely out, so you're going to have to make that work. So all the characters need something to do. Are they working together to do something, like solve a mystery? Or are they on opposing sides? And there's an organic role play between the two because this side needs something and that side needs something. And they need to either work together or work against each other. So that is something that is very important, because without that, your players are just there. They're standing there, they're in a location, but they don't know what they're doing there or what anything is for. So included in this step is probably building a little bit of narrative plot. If you have maybe a map, and then maybe a little politics, maybe a little like, who are we? And your kind of way to create a character as well. It could be as simple as a name and some basic role stuff, Or maybe you have a full stat card, and that's something for you to figure out. Of course, there's plenty of things that you can take from in order to make up like stats. D&D, for example, there's a simple system there with strength and stamina and stuff, and if you throw out all the stuff that, you know, you don't need for a real life game, like strength and stamina, because you can do what you can do, maybe you have like somebody's ability to lockpick, and if nobody can lockpick, they can't open that lock over there, you know? Maybe they learn skills on the ground, and that's something also to do at your LARP. Next is where you're going to play. Do you have a whole house to play in, or just a room? Do you have a backyard? Or maybe somebody has a property to play on. Are you playing in a park or a campsite and making sure that the rules allow you to be there, especially if you're using LARP weapons? Wherever you're playing, you need to keep the constraints of the location in mind. You can't be swinging a sword inside if there's delicate things in there, or, you know, it's wall to wall, or there's just no room for that. And if you get rained out and there's no place to shelter, everybody will just want to leave. So keep that stuff in mind. And finally, my tips for scaling up. So let's say you figured it all out. You started your events, you're loving it, your friends are loving it, you want to do more, you want more people to come, you want a venue. So there's so much to consider here. First, getting new members. Start a Discord. You can start this in the beginning anyway, to have your group kind of communicate together, share things, and just generally chat about the game. Later on, obviously, you can add more people. Next, I would say start either a Google Doc or a website and keep track of your game's lore. Very important. If you change names or things, and all your players might just get confused with generally things that you haven't recorded, but they've experienced and they might remember. A private Facebook group in the beginning might also be helpful, because then you can add players to that as time goes on. And you can also do the same thing with Discord. You can keep track of lore, or people can even have like in-game conversations and things when it's that middle time between your next event. Next, I would say check out the LARP subreddit. If you have something to showcase, I mean, if you have a video or pictures, or you just want people to know about your event in your area, that might be a good place to start. They also have resources for LARP maps, so other people can look on these maps and look for LARPs near them, and then see if they can join. Or maybe start a YouTube channel, and this would go hand in hand with making a video. I highly recommend this if you're really serious about this, if you want like people to know where you're playing, who the characters look like, maybe a story trailer, whatever is the case. Visuals really help. I know that I felt more comfortable when I saw a LARP that's near me's venue. I still haven't gone yet because of COVID, but it made me feel a lot better about possibly going in the future, because I saw what was there already, and I was like, okay, I don't have to be scared. I know where the registrar is, and like I don't have to like wander around and just be super confused or ask somebody. Maybe I'm a little bit more reserved. And having a YouTube channel and having a website or a Facebook thing will help you have content to give others as well that are interested in your game or do play in your game to be excited about as well. Other social media might help too, like Twitter or Instagram. Pick a couple of social media sites or whatever you feel comfortable with using based on also the reasons that I gave here, and give it a shot, see what happens. Now for location scaling up, you're probably going to have to pay for a venue if you aren't lucky enough to have a friend with property to play on. You know, if you don't have like just a really big space for free to play in, like a park, you may have to pay. So looking for affordable spaces around you could be interesting, especially if your game is not necessarily indoor or outdoor. You know, you might have to look at indoor venues or look at outdoor venues depending. Campsites or parks are probably the more affordable options for groups, and you can have people pay in advance and things like that so that you can afford to use cabins and things like that. You can think creatively for this. There might be some venues like an abandoned building that you can use that's safe. You know, somebody's like, hey, yeah, give me $20 and you can play in there. You never know. You don't know what's around you until you check. There might be fairgrounds you could use. You never know. So go ahead and reach out, look, see what's out there. That's all the tips I have for you today. I hope this was helpful to you. And if you want to talk more about specifics, or if you need help with this kind of stuff, you can go ahead and leave a comment below, or you can take a look at my social media, whatever I have down there, and you can contact me that way as well. I'll get back to you when I get a chance. So thank you guys for joining me, and I hope you guys have a great day.